and I think people want to know where their meat comes from. I mean, they want the story. I mean, people are interested now, especially after COVID. Like, they want to know about the farmer in Oklahoma or the farmer in Illinois that's raising their meat, and, you know, how much effort it takes and how it's a family-run business. And
hello, meat folks. Welcome back to the MeatsPad podcast. This is your hungry and humble host, Phil Bass, back with yet another great set of guests with us. We have the shark farmers with us today, and the shark farmers, I'll let them introduce themselves just a little bit, but I just had the opportunity to listen to them as our keynote speakers, our opening keynote speakers at the Reciprocal Meat Conference, at the 77th Reciprocal Meat Conference in Oklahoma City. And so real quick, Sharkies, would you tell us just a little bit about yourselves?
Yeah, I'm Rob Sharkey. I'm a fifth-generation farmer from just outside of Bradford, Illinois.
And I'm Emily Sharkey, his wife, and am in charge of our media, so our TV shows, and I produce our XM shows too. So
you guys have a similar mission to what I like to pose as my life mission right now. It's to tell the story of agriculture, but I live mostly in the animal agriculture side, meat science especially. But tell us a little bit about what your day-to-days and what is your goals and mission with the Shark Farmer brand.
Well, overall, our number one goal is our farm. So we've got about 2,000 acres of corn and soybeans. Then the media side, generally we have the XM show Monday through Friday that we have to do, and then we've got a weekly podcast that comes out every Tuesday. And then switching over to the TV side, we have the show with RFD TV, plus we have PBS shows as well. So those get shot maybe once a month or so. You can go down to the studio and just knock a bunch out. So it is just a whole lot of interviewing people, a whole lot of listening to stories of agriculture.
And we like to interview people who aren't maybe necessarily given the platform. That's what we enjoy the most, is just your everyday average farmer or person in ag industry. It could be a meat scientist, it could be anyone. And just giving them a platform. Basically, we just want to listen to them. We just want to hear their story, hear what they do, hear what they've been through in life. And we don't talk about agriculture all the time. You name it, the topic, we've talked about it. So it's a lot of fun to meet people from all over the country every day.
Well, and it's important to get those folks the opportunity to share their bigger story. You know, not just the technical part of planting and raising livestock, which of course that's most of our listeners on this side. But you also engage with the general public at times as well too, right? And in fact, would you say that's kind of your target audience with the PBS side of things, or is that your target audience for everyone? Is just to help share the greater story of those in agriculture?
Yeah, definitely the PBS is a non-farming audience, although every farmer will stop and say for sure that, oh yeah, we're watching your PBS show. But I mean, it's almost a little difficult because I don't like to talk so much during the interviews. I like it when the guest talks more. I find it difficult with a PBS show because when you're talking with the farmers, so like he says, you don't want to get caught in a PTO. And then I have to stop the conversation because then explain to him that's a power takeoff, not paid time off. You have to explain the farmerese, and it's a little clunky because again, you don't ever want to shut the person off from talking, and because that's their story, that's their feeling. But yet I have to make sure that people understand what they're saying. So it's been a challenge.
Yeah. Well, and you're right. Sometimes we have to, especially on the animal side of things, we have to pause after a little bit of an informational monologue and just remind people what AI is.
You think?
Right, yeah.
You guys have more acronyms than the government.
Yeah, especially in the meat side of things. Well, and even more so in the food safety, right? So, yeah, you're right. It is important to get out there and still share those stories, and especially the personal side of things, and remind the consuming public that we are still people, right? On the farming side, we have families, we have a mission to, yes, grow food, but it's part of our lifestyle, and it's part of our background. And you do occasionally a man on the street kind of, or person on the street interviews. And so when you do those discussions, do you ever get a chance to kind of follow up more after you ask the questions and maybe do a little bit of additional educating, or is this more just kind of to spur additional thought within the audience?
We do, actually. Man on the Street on Nashville is probably our favorite segment, and our viewers' favorite segment. And the neat thing about it is in Nashville, you have people from all over the country, all over the world. And when I approach someone and say, hey, you want to be on TV? I don't do that anymore. I say, hey, we're farmers from Illinois. We want to ask you some questions. You want to talk? And they, I would say 90% of the time, always say yes then. But it's just so neat because, we're finding that what the media is putting out there as far as how people look at farming, how people view raising animals, how people view agriculture is not what the general public thinks. Like, we're very trustworthy. They look at a farmer as being trustworthy, and what we are producing, we tell them a lot that we're a family-run business, and they're understanding that. But it's neat because, we're talking to a lot of people who've never been on a farm before. And so we do come across the occasional people who think that their food comes from a grocery store, and that's it, and they
Those
don't
are
know.
the best ones.
And some of the things they say, we got to keep from laughing.
Yes. Yeah.
But we do get to engage in a really good conversation afterward, and if they are misinformed, they're willing to listen because we listen to them first.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They have a reason why they believe what they do.
Yeah.
And if we listen first, we can generally say, hey, by the way, you don't have to shop at Whole Foods for everything.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, you can go to your local whatever. So it's neat. We do have some good conversations, and we have debunked a few misconceptions in farming along the way, for sure.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Tell us a little bit about your tagline, "Sharks don't swim backwards." You're both wearing the shirt. We see it around quite a bit, and I think there's a really cool message behind that.
Yeah, I wish we could say we actually came up with it. No, I mean, physically a shark cannot swim backwards, but metaphorically, we had a friend, Meredith Bernard, who's a YouTuber. She sent us a little shark fin, and it had it on there. I'm like, that's really cool. We're going to steal that. So, just through life, things that have been difficult or whatever, you just have to plow forward. And that's nothing to do with agriculture or anything with farming. That's just everybody's life altogether. And plowing through that, as hard as it can be, that's what we have to do to thrive.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's a great message for everybody out in the meat industry, especially. We're constantly under criticism, obviously, and that's
y'all have some
agriculture as a
nutbags
whole,
that don't like you.
Yeah. Well, that's putting it very kindly, in fact. But yeah. But you know what? That's my mission, is to go out there and share that we are still people, and I think meat still has a great place on the table in nutrition. There's definitely folks out there that either choose not to or can't. I respect that, but I also want to give people the opportunity to enjoy the good things that come from meat, the nutrition part, of course, but the flavor and the experience. I mean, experience life, right? And so that's what we're put here for, and it's our job to experience life abundantly, I believe. And so,
well, and I think people want to know where their meat comes from. I mean, they want the story. I mean, people are interested now, especially after COVID. Like, they want to know about the farmer in Oklahoma or the farmer in Illinois that's raising their meat, and how much effort it takes, and how it's a family-run business, and they want to know. They want to have that story, just like they want to have a story with the wine they're drinking. They went to a certain place in California and got this wine. They love the story, which is really cool. I don't think it used to be like that. I don't think people cared as much about the story as they do now.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. I am. We're getting a lot of people, that are indeed asking more and more questions, and oftentimes, especially us in the agricultural world, we have a tendency to be much more reserved, and we take it as a criticism. Take it as an opportunity to engage in a positive light, right? And help to educate those people. They want to know, and they're asking you. Let's do this, right? So some of the things that I regularly tell our listeners and farmers and ranchers that I work with is bring people to your farm, bring them into the meat shop, and show them what it is that we're doing, because I have a feeling once they see it, they're gonna take it in, and they're gonna accept it a lot better, and understand.
Yeah, I used to get away from the word butchered and killed and harvested and all that stuff, and I mean people know where meat comes from. They know that an animal is going to die so that they can have a burger. It's accepted. I wish the industry would just accept that. And sometimes we think the dumb people we see on TV that think that you feed chocolate to a cow, you get chocolate milk. That's such a minority.
Or brown cows,
that most people understand, where a burger comes from, and they accept it. So let's just embrace that and move on from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, I really appreciate you joining us. I appreciate you carrying on this mission. If there's anything we at MeatsPad can do to help carry your mission, we're here to serve. And thank you for joining us with our meat science family.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate you. Yep. Thanks.